Welcome to Gold Silver Pros.
Hey everyone, this is Rob Kientz with 𝑔oldsilverpros.com doing your weekly market wrap up, and I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving Day holiday, spent time with friends and family, got recharged, and hopefully the family being around didn't drain your batteries too much and wasn't super stressful for you. But things are getting back to normal this week and in the markets, as well as hopefully in your own personal lives. This week, we're going to make a little bit of a change. I'm going to talk about the gold and silver stuff up front this time, but I'm going to spend most of the time talking about what's going on in the world. And I think that we're so close to what is going to be, sort of the big crash or what we're going to see moving forward that we got to make a change. Over the last year, well, probably the last 9 months to a year, I've done this weekly market wrap. And if you're interested in looking at previous episodes, we have one of our playlists on our YouTube is the weekly market wrap. So you can just look at those videos only by clicking on that playlist. I would encourage you guys to do that, because if you want to know the mechanics of how the market works, I did that for almost a solid year. I don't know how many months I did it for. And then before that, I would do it, either once a week or a couple times a month anyway. And I'll explain how it all works. I will explain the option strategies. I'll explain the futures. I explain inventories and all that kind of stuff. Well, I think I've done that enough that you guys really sort of know how it works, and we're educated on that. Everybody knows how that works. I think, we know the ins and the outs. We know the manipulation. We know how the trades work. We know how it goes up and they make money, and how it goes down and they make money, how they play it around options expiration time, how they play it around delivery dates, how things tend to get smashed at certain times to keep gold and silver from running up, or at least to put some downward pressure on it. I've covered that enough. Now I think we need to move forward, and we need to start talking about on the channel preparation for what's coming, because I think I've been saying we're at the 11th hour for the longest time. Now I think we're at the 11th hour and 50th minute. And I think, and I said this on the spaces on Monday, for those, most of you don't listen to the spaces. A lot of you have come over, but if you don't listen to that on Twitter, every Monday that I do with Metal Miners Club, and I do as well, I co-host that at 10:30 Central Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Mondays. For an hour and a half, we talk about the State of the Union. We talk about our legislative updates on what's going on, Citizens for Sound Money. We talk about the markets, and that's cool because people get to come on and talk with us. They raise their hand, they talk, and it's interactive. In any case, I said this on Monday. I said, we're really close to the crash, relatively speaking. I mean, if you look back at the last 10 years of the Federal Reserve to now, like I said, we're at the 11th hour and 50th minute. And I think 2024 is going to have a bunch of tremors, and they're really going to be mini earthquakes in the system. Tremors, but they're going to register on the Richter scale, if you will. They're going to be 6s and above. You're going to know that they're hitting. And either sometime in 2024 or 2025, we're going to have the big one. The one that took out San Francisco and all the fires and the burning and all that, the collapsing buildings. That one we're not too far away from. So I think we're right there. I think 2024 is going to be a transformational year. I think it's going to shock a lot of people. And so we need to go into prep mode. So I'm going to change the way that these are going. I won't have this long, dialogue at the front of everyone. We're going to get right into gold and silver. I'm going to go to stories, and then I'm going to talk about what we need to do. And so the second half of today's is just what we need to do. And so these weekly market wraps are going to be a little bit less data focused, less information, just throwing information at you. We're going to have a little bit of that up front. We're still going to track what's going on, but most of this is going to be, what do we do now? And that needs to be the focus of the channel going forward. So for those of you that are interested in my auditor brain and what's going on, yes, I'll still cover that in an abbreviated format, a shorter format, and go back and look at all my past weekly market wrap-ups, or just any of my past videos. Man, I've covered this so many times. You can educate yourself on how COMEX works, on the market works, all that good stuff. It's all there. I've got education on real estate. I've got education on the bond market. I've got education on stocks. I've got education on cycles, human cycles, economic cycles, out the wazoo. Now I need to move on into, let's get everybody ready. Let's cover what's going to come hard and fast. And what I said on Spaces on Monday was, this will be the last normal Thanksgiving and Christmas. Normal is defined in any sort of normalcy that you would expect in society for the last 40, 50 years. This will be the last normal Thanksgiving and Christmas that we see for a very long time. And it could be 10 to 20 years before we get back to any sort of quote unquote normalcy. I think it's over. This is it. This is your last holiday season that I think is going to resemble what you think a holiday season should be, because the world is going to change around us so hard and so fast, and it's going to rattle you, that I want you guys to be prepared. So we've got to go into prep mode. So some data, some investigations, and prep mode. And either this week or next week, I'm going to start my long study on the new system. I'm trying to get to that. I've just been so busy, but I need to teach you what the new system is before year is out. So before the end of 2023, I will have finished that series. I know exactly when I'm going to start it, but I'm going to hit it hard. So Tuesday is going to be a combination of looking a little bit at the data and telling you what I think the stories and where we need to go, things you need to do to prepare. And then on Thursday, it's going to be more about that system or other topics around that system, so that by the time we get to the end of the year, you know what it's going to be. And so along the way, you can make your preparations. And certainly by January 1st, you can be like, okay, Rob's got us up to date, not only what's going on now, what we need to do, prepare what that new system is going to look like. So it's be sort of your one-stop shop for all that. So you just stay tuned to the channel. I'm going to give it all to you. And trust me, I'm going to give it to you like nobody fucking gives it to you, because that's what I do. And that's why you come here. I don't, a lot of people, I'm just, one comment real quick. A lot of people on YouTube, man, they get on there and it's all, oh my God, the world's ending and this could, and then they go the next step, and there's never any follow-up or congruity. That's not the way I operate. The way I operate is I follow the bouncing ball ahead of where the ball's bouncing. I tell you where it's going to be bouncing. It's like Wayne Gretzky says, skate to where the puck's going to be, not where it is. I help you skate to where the puck is going to be, and I'm consistent in what I do. And I think that's why you guys show up. The only thing I would like for you guys to do is recommend me to other people so we can get other people educated. Because I guarantee you, between now and the end of the year, I'm going to hit you with so much that you're going to be way ahead of 90%. And other people are going to watch my YouTube and then take it to their channel. It happens every time. And I'm not bragging and saying I'm smarter than everybody else, but the way I do stuff, people grab it off of mine and then they come and they give it to you. All right, so lots of people coming into the store today, so I better get on it. So we're going to jump right into the data. We're going to talk a little bit about the economic calendar. I didn't see a whole lot. Actually, let's go gold, silver first. That's what I said I would do. Come on, guys. You got to keep me honest. Make me do what I say I'm going to do, ladies and gents. All right, the COT report. So I've done this. I'm going to run through this real quick. This is silver. It's November 21. It's a week old. We all know that's the way to do it. The thing you can see with the bullion banks, what I call the swamp dealers up here, or the bullion banks, they're short in silver. They added 5,500 contracts, ostensibly keep that price down. They're now about 8,000 more short than long. Previously, a few weeks ago, they were about even, and about a month or so ago, they're about even, but they're starting to go more short, put some downside pressure on that. The other side of that trade primarily is going to be the managed money. They added 2,781 longs and dropped shorts. You did see some increased shorts from the producer merchant category. That's legitimate hedging. That one doesn't bother me because they're hedging their downside price risk in silver. And that's what the market is supposed to be for. I never criticize them for that because they don't take outsized positions. Yes, they have a total of 36,975 contracts short, but they produce stuff and they use silver. They produce silver. They produce stuff from silver. They have a legitimate use for it. I never criticize them for their position. But you definitely see the concentration in the shorts. And who's the concentration? 8 traders short, 46.8% of all of the short positions, and the majority of them are swap dealers. So it's the swap dealers hammering down the price. We still see silver running. So when I do this COT report next week and we look at this week's data, we're probably going to see somebody came in and went long silver quite a bit. All right, now on to gold as of November 21st. Again, you see this concentration of 8 or less short traders. We know it's the banks. It's in the report. If you combine the OCC report of derivatives positions, Office of Comptroller of the Currency, with the data that comes out from the CME Group and the CFTC, we know who it is by and large. It's the big banks. And they added 7,612 short gold. So they're trying to really short gold. The other side of that trade was this 11,457 you see right here in the middle for the managed money. The financial houses, the hedge funds are going long gold, and the swap dealers are going short. Now, you did see some more shorting going on producer merchants. That's because price has been frothy a little bit lately. Again, they have downside price risk. That doesn't bother me. It's this one right here. It's the swap dealers adding 7,600 shorts and dropping 2,760. Now, this is data from 2 weeks ago or to last week. So we're behind on it from 2 weeks ago to last week. So we haven't seen this week's data. So we're going to see something different because the price is rising. But again, you know who the shorters are, and that's the only reason I do that part of the report. I wanted to real quick go over year-to-date deliveries because in gold, we've had nice frothy deliveries. In January, 6,600, then in February up, and about every 2 months, because about every 2 months is really more active, about 6 months out of the year In gold and silver, you have very active physical deliveries. You see this every other month pattern: big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small. October was big, November small, December is going to be huge. Now, on the 29th is when the first intent to take deliveries goes out for December, because the last 2 trading business days of the month prior to the month that you're going to take delivery, you can put in your intent. So tomorrow is first intent and first notice day. Well, there's first notice day and first intent day. And those are the first 2 days of the month. And you can declare your intent to take delivery. And so tomorrow we'll start getting an idea of how much delivery is going to occur in December. And I think that's part of why the price is rising, because I think people are expecting December to be big deliveries. And it typically is every year in gold and silver. So we'll see how that turns out. We're going to go down to silver futures. It's at just about the very bottom of this report. So we'll kind of scroll down here. We're in the section now. This is silver futures and COMEX. Year to date, silver hasn't had a ton of deliveries. I've seen them be bigger year over year, but the last 5 to 6 years have had more deliveries on the COMEX than you've typically seen. It used to be much more of a paper market. There's a little bit more physical delivery in there. It's not overwhelming physical delivery. So you're not going to just see it blowing, completely out or anything like that, but you are going to see more deliveries in there. And it's got that every other month pattern too. So in January, it's high. Well, in February, it's not too bad. In March, it really pops up to 31. Then it goes down to 388. Then you go back to 27.18, then down to 886 at 51. So again, December is going to end up being a big delivery month. Just describing how that works for you. Really quick, I just want to go over gold warehouse stocks. The one that you want to know is dark green. It's registered. It's the one that actually is set for that trading I just showed you on the COT report. And that number has gone down. Look at the stockpiles going down. And look at how most of this is in the light green. That's eligible stocks. That's really stored. It's not pledged for the market. It could come on the market, but it's really private storage. So you see that gold's come down overall, but you've seen a shrinkage of the amount of actually liquid available gold. In silver, it's much more pronounced. Silver has come off since silver squeezed back in 2021, beginning of 2021. Now, almost 3 years ago, that silver squeeze, but you've also seen a huge shrinkage in this registered. This is the stuff that actually could be delivered in any given month. It's registered to be delivered. Eligible is eligible to be delivered, but it's got to be moved into registered first. And a lot of eligible is just private hands storing the silver. We don't know if they're going to use it for something else. So the liquidity is this dark green, and it's really shrunk. So just wanted to throw that out there at you. That's the metals report. The prices are going up today, but looking at the previous data, there's a lot of shorting going on. I expect next week when we look at the COT report, we'll see some relief from those shorts from the banks, and that'll explain this week's prices going up. We're going to a couple of quick things on the economy, then I'm going to go stories, and then I'm going to get into the meat of the program, which is talking about what we need to do to prepare, at least kind of leading that discussion off. So let's go quick. So what I've got in the economic data as I look at it from last week, on Monday, we had the U.S. leading economic indicators index. It's just a group of indicators economists look at to say, a batch of them to say, how's the economy doing? That went down almost 1%, 0.8%. It's been going down month over month, and that's a leading indicator that the economy is about to go into recession. When you take a big group of leading economic indicators that everybody follows, the Fed, economists, everybody, and it's been going down month over month over month over month over month for so long, that's one of your biggest recession indicators. It was down again, and it's increasingly going up. The amount that it's under zero or it's contracting is going up. It's accelerating slowly, but you can see the economy just tighten and decrease through that economic indicators index. Also, existing home sales are down. Existing home sales dwarf new home sales because there's more existing homes than new ones. So even though new home sales are up a bit, the existing is down. So overall, the real estate market is not doing too well. 3.79 million houses sold last month. Previous month before that was 3.95, so that's decelerating. Jobless claims are down just a little bit. That's a little positive, but still over 200,000, so I wouldn't get too excited about that. Durable goods orders are down again. They were up the previous month at 4%. Last month, they were down 5.4, almost 5.5. So the durable goods is a sign of the manufacturing economy or development of big business in the economy. That's down. That's not good. Consumer sentiment is up slightly, but not doing too great. All right, on to the stories in the stock market real quick. Cryptos are definitely up. As I looked at the cryptocurrency market, we're going to look at Bitcoin right now at time of reports trading at 38,280, up 1,399 points on the day. The whole cryptos are doing really well. Gold sort of popped first on the bad economic news of the last month or so. Cryptos took a while, but they're going back up now. So cryptocurrencies, people are going back into them. Bitcoin is on a run. It's done very well this year after the big crypto winter and the crash, and it just kind of sat there seemingly for like a year and didn't do anything. Now interest is starting to come back in, so you're going to see that crypto market get more frothy. On the bond side, real quick, we're still in yield curve inversion between the 2 and the 10-year, which means that's a recession indicator, but they both come off of that 5% mark, which is actually positive about the amount of interest we're paying for debt. Now, it's still high, but at least it's under 5%. 5% to me is the crash point. If it stays at 5% for any length of time, we've got too much interest payments going out, the economy crashes. You don't have enough money just to pay the interest, much less the debt itself. So the good news, at least temporarily, is the 2 years at 4.74 and the 10 years at 4.34. Now we know we're going to a recession because the 2 years higher, and that doesn't make sense because you think over long term is more risk. We don't know what's going on. When the shorter term, the 2 year is higher, it means we think recession's imminent. And that's predicted recessions many times. Overall in the markets, it's a mixed bag. The S&P is up slightly. It was down at the time I started the report. Now it's up like 0.07. The Dow is up 0.29. The NASDAQ is up 0.13, but the Russell's still down. The Russell's been hammered all year. It's still net negative on the year. The Dow is still net negative on the year. So overall, the stock markets are not doing fantastic. The small businesses are not doing fantastic. Manufacturing is not doing fantastic. And that is a leading recession indicator, which is why I go over it. All right, really quickly moving on to the stories. The Dallas Fed reported the 19th straight month of contraction in its manufacturing outlook survey. One of the quotes was, "Tremendous economic slowdown. High rates are killing us." The Dallas Fed Services survey tumbles back into contraction. So not only manufacturing is down for 19 straight months, services is now going down. According to Bloomberg, retail sales declined in November, according to business executives responding to the Texas Retail Outlook survey, with general retail business activity going into contraction. Input prices are falling a little bit, but selling prices are up. So inputs into the economy fell a bit, but selling prices are up because the previous inputs for the longest time are up. So I think we're still getting back into the land of inflation. We're in a little bit of stagflation now and a little bit of deflation in terms of economic output, but I think prices are still going to rise because of currency and circulation. Some of the other respondents from this, from the manufacturing survey and the Dallas Fed report, here's some of the quotes. "We feel that we're headed for a recession." That's from the utility sector. These are individuals quoting, this report. They're considered leaders. In the professional, scientific, and technical services, quote, "There is still no sign when the slowdown with the tech sector will begin to improve." Another quote, "We see mixed signals everywhere. Inverted yield curves imply recession. Probably we're in a rolling recession." That's from professional, scientific, and technical services sector. Another quote, "The general level of business activities continue slow month over month. We do not see this improving due to uncertainty in interest rates and banking industry. We hope to have some clarity in the first half next year." Another quote, "Interest rates are severely impacting our clients' cash flow and solvency. We see defaults increasing." Another one, congressional dysfunction, quote, "And Israel and Ukraine disagreements add to anxiety over inflation and financial well-being." Another quote, "Washington dysfunction, inflationary fiscal policy, and geopolitical uncertainty are causing forecasting of business environment uncertainty." Another quote, "It looks like we're poised to enter a recession based on our assessment of the broader economy in specific sectors such as commercial real estate." Another quote, "As the year end approaches, our clients are indicating budgets for 2024 are lower and tighter than they've seen in years." Spending's going to go down next year, guys. We're already contracting. We're heading to a recession. We're already in one. But officially for the government to call it, you really got to sledgehammer them over the head and say, okay, we're in a neffing recession. Just admit it. And people are saying next year budgets are already decreasing. You're not going to get the spend. You're not going to get the job growth. You're not going to get the retail spending growth. It's not going to happen. Another quote, "Tremendous economic slowdown. It seems consumer sentiment is extremely worried." That's in motor vehicle and parts dealers. And the building material and garden equipment and supplies dealers, here's a quote, "These high interest rates are killing us. Not a fun time in the small business world." I want to talk a little bit about how people are buying this holiday season. Articles have come out and several online publications about buy now, pay later, or the BNPL craze. You've seen this on social media. Consumers are spending beyond their means. They're tapping credit lines just to get the gifts for Christmas. Buy now, pay later. And there's an interest rate that comes with that. So online consumer spending skyrocketed 9.6% from 11.3 billion yesterday, surpassing the expectations of 6.1% increase. However, online spending is less than brick and mortar still, and brick and mortar is down. So overall spending is down. I expect spending to come down, but I expect more of this as a percentage is going to be buy now, pay later. This is sort of like credit. There's even, going back to the old layaway programs, but more of it's credit. So credit is jumped. There's a 42.5% jump compared to figures last year through buy now, pay later, or BNPL. 940 million worth of goods already through Black Friday and Cyber Monday. That's almost $1 billion. We're not even through the holidays. So for people to, here's what people are doing. They're trying to have the same standard of living as before, but they can't afford it, so they're putting on credit. This is going to lead to very bad things. Here's another article. Say goodbye to the middle class. Half of all American workers made less than $40,847 last year. So they took about $3,400 a month home before taxes. The average rent across the U.S. was almost $2,000 a month. 2 out of 3,400 is much higher than 30% recommended. So most people are sitting at about 60% of their take home, gross take home before taxes, is going to rent. That's houses or apartments or whatever, townhomes. This is not sustainable. Whenever in history this has happened, we've had a housing crash and an economic crash. It's coming. I'm telling you, the data is showing. That's why I want to get into preparation. This is just about everything has soared in price over the last few years, and those at the bottom of the economic food chain are being hit the hardest. When compared with January 2021, prices remain up a stunning 17.62%. Inflation has created severe financial pressures for most U.S. households, which are forced to pay more for everyday necessities like food and rent. I saw another report that since the pandemic, prices have increased 50% across the board. Most of it was gas and food, but overall, some things are only 30%. But overall, prices have gone up 50% since the pandemic. 50. Why? Well, one's all the monetary creation. Two is the fact that people don't have as much to spend anymore. It's a higher percentage of their budget. And that's putting extreme pressure. It's not all demand driven. Some of it is with buy now, pay later, but that demand's going to collapse. Okay. But that inflation, I think, will still be there just because of the money printed. I don't think demand's going to kill that. One other news story of note before we get into preparations. While Milei must shut down the Argentina's central bank, opinion paper authored by Daniel 𝘎𝙁. So there's a libertarian guy that got elected president of Argentina, and he's basically taking a hammer to government. He said he wants to get rid of the central bank. He wants to reestablish freedom and money. Why is Argentina going this way? They've had multiple currency crises, and people finally elected him and said, go fix it. And he's a libertarian. I think this is going to happen more across the world. I don't think it'll happen in the U.S. anytime soon because there's too much there for the system to protect. But I think more and more what we're going to see happen is that we're going to see libertarians, maybe more conservatives, or people just more fiscally conservative, regardless of party, maybe independents, be elected to these smaller countries. Why? Because they're the ones that get inflated. Exported dollar inflation goes to them first, so it wrecks their currency first. Well, that turns around and comes back to us. We're just not to that point yet, but we're getting really close. And that's one of the things we need to prepare for. So I want to talk about that real quick, and then we're going to wrap up with a little bit about our store. So this is really what I want to talk about. And this is what I'm going to start talking about on Tuesdays. And this is what I talked about in Spaces on Monday. We had a lot of people join Spaces. We get about 800-900 views, plus some live people in there, 40, 50 usually, somewhere in that range. I was talking about something that Tucker Carlson said, which I agree with, and I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. And in short, he basically said in a speech recently, trust your gut, trust your instinct. If your gut is telling you bad stuff is coming, then you know bad stuff is coming. Prepare, okay? And now's the time to prepare. I went over the data. That's great. We know that already, guys. We've done this so many times. Now we need to say, okay, what do we do next? We're educated about this stuff. Rob will continue to throw some education in there. You can go to other YouTube videos. You can do your own work. But at some point in time, we got to talk about what the hell we're going to do. And the first thing is to listen to your gut. I'm not going to get into beans, bullets, and bullion right now, but I'm going to talk about the best way to prepare is to start listening to that little voice in your head or that little gut down there. That's your survival instinct. And what I said on Monday was, I think this is born from our soul. We're unique in that our soul gives us reasoning capability. It gives us our subconscious, which is constantly working on problems. And all of that manifests into gut feelings, and some of it's inherent in our genetics, which leads into instinct. And I think all of that emanates from our soul, to me. And I think you have to listen to that. We have to listen to that. We have to listen to what's going on. So if you know bad stuff's coming, you've got to prepare. And it is the beans, bullets, and bullion. But more than that, you've got to listen first. And I sense, there are some people, Space is very interactive. I love that platform on Twitter just for that reason. Certainly I reach a lot more on YouTube, but Spaces is great. It's interactive. And people the last few weeks have basically been coming and saying, well, I'm questioning all the knowledge I built over the last 10 years. I'm not sure if this crash is ever going to happen. And you know why? Because it hadn't happened yet, and it's gone forever. This is the longest bull market in American history in the stock and bond markets until it's not. And people have this false sense of security because even though stuff's sort of hitting the fan economically, the whole thing hasn't crashed yet. And they're like, oh, it can go on forever and ever. And I ran this Twitter poll and I said, how long before the US is doing what Turkey's doing right now and defending against hyperinflation or pressures that are about to lead to hyperinflation? Because Turkey's very high inflation right now. And I said, how long before we do what their central bank is doing, that the Fed does? And the majority of people basically said 1 to 2 years. But there was a whole group of people that said, never, this can go on forever. And one guy came into the chat and said, it can go on forever because, you know, if you don't understand that, you don't understand the system. And just in complete denial about what's happened hundreds of times in history before. Last week, I also posted to Twitter that 595 fiat currencies have failed across the world, including several in the United States. Well, I said, will the US dollar be the 596th? Well, yeah, but there'd probably be others before it. US may be the last one to collapse, but it's going to collapse. All of them have in history. But 43.8% said 1 to 2 years before we have to do what Turkey's doing to combat hyperinflation. 17.5% of you said 2 to 4 years. 17.5% of you said 4 to 6 years. And the last answer, I ignore math forever, 21.2%. I ran another poll and I said, how long can the US finance foreign wars before the economy breaks? 33.6%, almost exactly a third, said as long as we want. And I said, oh, really? So if we're defending against hyperinflation, we can still fund all these foreign wars in our military? How did that work in Rome? How did that work in Britain? How did that work in Spain? How did that work in any society? Constantinople, the Mayans, you tell me, how did that work? How were they funding their military operations and their police forces when the currency collapsed and the society collapsed? They weren't. But 48.1% of you answered smartly. They said 1 to 2 years before we start having to do what Turkey's doing right now and Argentina's doing to guard against hyperinflation, to stop the rampant inflation leading to hyperinflation. So the majority of you, and then 12.2% said 2 to 4 years, 6.1% 4 to 6 years. So the majority of you know what's going on. But the fact that a third of all respondents to a gold silver channel would say those things about how long that this can go on forever astounds me. So a lot of people in this community, even though you follow this data, think this is going to go on forever. And I hate to tell you, it ain't. Okay, it's not. And then I ran a poll about preppers. I said, how many of you guys are preppers? And let me read to you how I wrote this. Next time I'll put them up on screen. It says, how many of you are preppers? And I mean the gun-owning, bug-out bag stuffing, flee to the country, not outside the country, but flee to the country when SHTF happens. I'll raise my hand first. Nominated myself. 45% said already there. Another 35% said thinking about it. 80% of people are already prepping or they're on the cusp of prepping. And these videos on Tuesday now, I want to direct to people that are in that 35% that are thinking about it. Only 20% are like, yeah, you're a nut, or what the hell do you mean prepping? That 35%, that's more than a third of people that follow me aren't prepped yet. You're buying gold and silver. You haven't done all the other stuff. Think about what I said earlier. Are you not listening to your gut? Are you not listening to this voice in your head that says, hello, do something, guys. Look at what's going on. Do something. We know how this story ends. We've seen this before. This is not a mystery. We don't need to call Scooby-Doo and his team to go solve it. We don't need the pesky kids. We know the answers. Go prep. So this, I'm imploring you guys, go prep. Go do what you got to do. It's not just about gold and silver. It's so much more than that. And we'll get into that later on. We're getting into more prepping stuff later on. We're going to talk about those topics. But today the focus is to focus on what you know. Don't question yourself too much. The propaganda that comes out, and propaganda, could be positive or negative, but propaganda means somebody's trying to convince you of something. A lot of the propaganda or the advertising or the talk, if you will, the scuttlebutt, the discussions, or either to distract you, it's all about sports or sex or whatever, the latest show, reality TV especially. And I watch that too, but I just keep it to a minimum. It's just entertainment. I don't take any of it seriously. But even the financial media, everything's okay. Everything's okay. Don't worry. I saw articles come out in the mainstream financial media about, well, we got past the housing collapse. We got past the recession. It's never going to happen. Literally saying it's never going to happen. It hadn't happened by now. It's never going to happen. We're going to be in this state. And that's never happened in history to any country ever that's existed on this planet called Earth. It's never happened. There's delusion. There's mass psychosis and delusion. And I can't reach all of those people. No one can. But what we can do within our community is start to pay attention. to start to say, I need to move my ass off of this chair, get my inertia moving, and go effing do something. Okay? I'm trying to keep this family friendly. People are requested, so I'm not going to throw a bunch of F-bombs. But we need to do something. Okay? We need to do something. So get off your butt and go do something. I mean, don't just watch the show. After the show, go do something for 30 minutes. Educate yourself. Pack up some meat in the deep freeze. Go to Walmart. On Walmart.com, you can order those, freeze-dried foods. Go get your MREs. I'm thinking about, and you guys let me know in the comments, I'm thinking about carrying MREs and some prep products online. We have a lot at goldsilverpros.com. I've started carrying more than just metals, by the way, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But I'm thinking about, hey, man, maybe I'll put some MREs out there. I've got wholesalers where I can get you guys discounts. Now, on some of it, I have to ship by the case. But I'm thinking about individually packing some of those. I just got to figure out the shipping costs. I don't want it to be too expensive for you, but I at least want to, make something and break even and make something on it to keep the shop running. It's my time. But I think I can get you guys some pretty good discounts on that. If you're interested in MREs, if you're interested in other prep stuff like water filters, flashlights, I might have a section of the website for that. I can just add it to inventory. It doesn't cost me anything extra to put it up there. And if I can get you good deals for my wholesalers, which I have access to right now, I'm sitting here contemplating writing a check and getting about $1,000 worth of MREs in and selling them. If you think it's a good idea, let me know. If there's any interest whatsoever, I'll do it. And I'm talking the good ones. I'm not going to buy the crappy ones. I'm going to buy you good stuff that's going to last, that has a reputation from reputable people, and I'm going to try to bring it at a really good price for you guys. If you're interested, definitely let me know about that. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the website. Because, it costs money to do all this. And so we have a little bit of commercial aspect to this always. Thank you guys for sticking through. I want to talk about the website. Now, we do have more of the metals. We do have our metals. And there's two types of metal. Now, I want to make a real quick point. Some people say, Rob, your prices are high. Well, that's because I do one price on stuff that you can order online and get it shipped directly to you without having to call me. And so this is your credit card price, or it's what I call the one price. It includes credit card charges. Why? Because 95% of people that ever order from me online, or probably 98%, use their credit card. I know, they just do. And so I just wrapped my costs, all my costs, into one price. And I got to stay PCI compliant too. So I got the one price. So if you're looking at my price versus credit card price of other people, I beat most of the big guys, period, end of story. Because I take less of a percentage than they do. Now, you may have the sale at the random shop that beats me, okay, on a specific product. Okay, fine. But generally, on an everyday basis, I beat people on a lot of these products when you're talking credit card prices. And I've also worked to increase what I've got there. I've got most of the sovereign coins. I've got custom stuff that we like. I'm trying to get more Morgans in. People are buying me out of Morgans. People just want to buy Morgans. So I'm scouring every wholesaler I can and saying, if you got Morgans, sell them to me, because people want them. I've got all sorts of coins and bars. I've got some of my stuff. I've got stuff I can get from my wholesalers, Asahi bars, RCM. Asahi bars are really cheap over spot. This is a really good deal if you're looking at 10-ounce bars. We're going to put some 1-ouncers up here too. I've got 1-ounce 8 bars, a really good deal. And remember, these are all one price. That includes credit card fees. Now, if you don't want to pay credit card fees, you come over here to volume pricing, and you look down here, and I've got a table, and I update this at least once to twice a day. And my prices are very comparable to other people's. Now, given the prices that are going right this second, before this video actually comes out, these are very competitive. Here's my bank wire price. Here's my credit card. As long as I put both of those up and up front to you, I can do that. The reason I don't do it over here is because my portal won't let me do it. If you actually want to click here, add to cart, I got the one price. But if you want to do a bank wire ACH and you want to get your price down, all you do is you come here, you say, this is the product that I want. These are all competitively priced. I've got Silver Eagles for $30.87. If you do bank wire ACH, you got Britannias at $28.27, silver bars at $2.60. That's cheap for 10 ounces of silver. I mean, come on, that's like a couple of bucks over spot. Not even a couple bucks over spot. That's an insane, stupid deal. All you do is click access discounts here or access discounts here. It takes you to this Google form. You fill it out, put in your information. I'll call you. I'll get that shipped out to you. Now, either I'm going to ship it from my existing stock, or I'm going to drop ship it from my wholesaler. I've got 2 wholesalers that drop ship for me. So literally, I can get any amount or quantity that you want. It's not an issue. If you want 100 American Gold Eagles, I can get you 100 American Gold Eagles at very competitive prices. I no longer have the issue of being a small shop and only selling from my existing inventory and only be able to sell small lots. If you want $1 million in gold and silver, I can get you $1 million in gold and silver, and I could probably beat most people's price. I can be extremely competitive because I'm operating on the same model as them, and I actually have less overhead, less salaries and stuff I have to cover. So consider me if you're purchasing in volume, and if you want to save by getting bank ACH wires. I can send you that invoice. That way you tell me how you want to pay. You tell me the product, I'll quote your price, I'll send the invoice. Upon funding, I just have it. I either send it to you from me or I have it drop shipped from major wholesalers in my area. And there are several in Dallas-Fort Worth. Not an issue. Okay, now I've got other products. I've got collectibles. Those of you in collectibles, I got silver, gold, and others. I got dollars here, graded stuff. I've got a lot of collectors locally, especially. It's a great collectors area. I've got some collectors online. If you're into collector stuff, I'm building this inventory out. I got more stuff coming. I just ordered more stuff. So this week I'll put 5 or 6 more pieces. I'm going to get it to where I have 30, 40 good pieces for you. But I've got inexpensive stuff you want to give away for stocking stuffers. I've got graded stuff. I've got, I've got more that I need to put up here. But I got stuff that's pretty competitively priced, and I've got some higher end stuff. You want some really nice bills. I've got a $1,000 bill that's graded. I've got American Eagles that are graded. I've got some burnished American Eagles that are printed only at West Point. I've got $500 bills that are just really nice quality, very fine quality. And I've got some 500 that aren't graded, a little bit cheaper, but they're really good quality as well. So look at those if you're interested. I've also got jewelry. I've got a huge line of jewelry. Now we've got about 40 pieces out now. I've got a wholesaler that will drop ship. I don't have to stock it all. I've got some in my case if you want to come visit me in Grapevine. But by the end of this week, I should have 100 pieces of jewelry up at all price points. Now, what I'm doing here, why am I carrying jewelry? Because every time somebody walks in my store, why don't you have jewelry? I've had email requests for jewelry. The ladies love the jewelry. The guys want to buy the jewelry for their ladies. So I've got a lot of jewelry. Some of this is very inexpensively priced. I've sourced jewelry that's good quality, but uses some less experienced materials such as sterling silver versus white gold. So I've got entry price points of $99 in some of this stuff, $200 for earrings, for necklaces. And look, we're talking I2, I3 quality real diamonds. But because it's paired with a sterling silver necklace, it's only a $209 price point. That's a nice gift, a beautiful, high quality gift at a bargain price. But we've also got some really nice stuff. Here's a 10K white gold pear-shaped blue sapphire huggy hoop earrings with HI color, I1 to I2 clarity for $650. That's a really good deal. Again, we got about 40 designs up, very inexpensive to some really nice pieces. The most expensive piece I have right now, see if I can find it on here. Here we go. I got to keep scrolling. Is this piece right here? It's a 14 karat white gold blue tanzanite, a 1/4 carat weight diamond bangle. And the blue tanzanite is extremely high quality. It's H-I color VS2 SI1 clarity. It's a very nice piece for the price. A very good deal. So if you really want to spend a lot on jewelry, you can, but I've got really affordable stuff for you that are on a budget. I know most of you are on a budget. So I put the budget items up first, and I'm going to add a little bit more nice items and medium quality items up there for you as well, medium priced items. But I've got it up there. Why am I carrying that? Because people have asked, and because most places do. Most coin shops carry some jewelry. I'll have at least 100 items you can get. I'll either ship it from me or I can have it drop ship from a major well-known wholesaler here in the United States at very competitive prices. So consider me for your bullion needs, your collectible needs, your jewelry needs. If you want the MREs and the other prep products, let me know. I've got wholesalers for that already. I got no problem putting that on the website. Some I can drop ship, some I'll have, but we'll get it to you, not a problem. We need to start prepping, guys. I'm going to bring you some products, but more than that, I'm going to bring you information. The information is free. If you want the products, I'm trying to price it competitively. That's why I do the commercials. I'm trying to price it competitively to everybody else so that I can give you a deal, but you can also help me. On the program, I can help you. It works that way. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Remember the lesson, listen to your gut instinct. Listen to what Tucker said. He's right in this case, and I agree with him. And I think that's what separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom, and I think we need to listen to it. And I think don't doubt yourself too much. Listen to that voice in your head. Listen to your gut. It's telling you what to do. It's telling you to prepare. Educate, but go beyond education. Now, videos, I'll try to do one topic on a video on Tuesdays after this. I'll do real quick gold report, economic report, a couple of stories, and then we'll get into what we need to talk about preparation-wise. And then again, Thursday, probably starting this week or next week, I'll talk about the new system, and I'll get you prepared for that. By the end of the year, you will know the new system, as much as we know right now, backwards and forwards. You will have the economic data you need in a compressed format that really punches you and gets you what you need. I'm going to keep you updated on the stories. I'm going to get you prepped for what's coming, so you know what you need to do to get prepped. Okay, at least what I would do. You can do whatever you want, do your own research, make your own decisions. That's my disclaimer. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. and what I would do, typically in this type of situation. This is a bit of a long one. I'm gonna try to keep these down to 30 minutes, but because I'm introducing new topics here, this went a little long. I expect to keep it 25 to 30 minutes from now on, but we're gonna action pack it. But we're moving beyond just data, and we're getting into hard stuff that needs to happen. I'm wanting to do this for a long time. Now's the time. 2024, I'm telling you right now, will not be like any year you've seen in your lifetime unless you were born during the Depression or during the war. Otherwise, you have not seen it in your lifetime. It will shock you what's going to happen. Be prepared, guys. I'm telling you right now, listen to your gut, do what you got to do. All right. Until next time, this is Rob King, Gold Silver Pros. Thanks for being a part of it. And we'll see you on Thursday.